Hey everybody, and welcome to the long-awaited and much requested touchscreen radio review slash kind of how-to. I'm going to throw in some of that. I have really been trying to dig in and get this thing figured out. I'll go ahead and cover what I've learned, and hopefully this will help some of you. This isn't a paid promotion or anything. I went ahead and purchased this a long time ago myself, and I wasn't even going to make I was going to make a how-to. But it wasn't going to be this in depth. But since you guys have been asking all these questions, I really wanted to go ahead and cover it, and I haven't really seen anything that is going to help us out as much as possible with this radio. Now, this will only cover my specific unit, which is the Tesla style 10.4 inch 32 gig vertical. I'll post the exact photo of mine here. You can find them on eBay, Amazon, and I'll have all those links down below. And with all those options, I can't guarantee that all of them will be the same in other models. So this is just going to cover that one specific model. I'm going to go ahead and break down each segment into chapters, and I'll go ahead and timestamp them down below, and then sub-timestamp them so you can more easily navigate the video, have a little bit more direct with what you're looking for. And I really do hope to cover everything that's in with this radio. If I don't, I'll try to update it, maybe post on Facebook. So with that, let's start with Chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
What's in the box?
Supplied is the main unit itself, all the wiring including converter adapters, as well as two options for the bottom mounting plates. And now you may be asking, what about the user's manual? No. Even though it's mostly in another language, it's still fairly easy to figure out. While this loads, let's go ahead and talk about the overall look and feel. I personally like the way it blends into the car, making it look almost factory. I've actually had people comment and ask me if it came like that. As I mentioned during the original install video, I'm not a fan of chrome, but I have to admit the accents have grown on me and I've come to like them. They offer a nice styling and they match some other variants of the dashboard. As you can see, it took around 29 seconds to boot up fully from Canon, making the initial startup sort of laggy. The home page though offers a display of RPMs and speed that are fairly accurate in real time. Now, as you may remember from the install video, it also offers door and trunk open warnings. As you can see, some of the panels are able to be moved up or down depending on your preference, but you do need to hit them in a particular spot. The analog buttons lock, hazard, navigation, and power mute, located on the bottom under the screen, do not all light up. Only the lock unlock will light up when the doors are in the lock position. This makes finding them in total darkness pretty problematic. The quality is actually really nice. Not perfect, but it's not a brittle plastic that I'm scared will too easily break. Misspellings like Bluetooth connected is displayed as connected. The bar at the very most top contains a few useful details. Going from left to right, we have the power button that really does nothing. The bottom one will actually mute the system. Next is the moon icon that will turn the screen off completely. The sun logo has 3 different brightness settings to click through. Those are really useful at night. In the center, you have time and outside temperature. The temperature actually switches from Fahrenheit to Celsius by itself, each startup randomly. And on the right side contains connections like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Last is the Open Processes tab. Opening this allows you to end any programs running in the background. Here we're going to take a look at the main radio display, giving you a selection from both AM and FM. It picks up most channels just fine, and I assume it would actually pick up more if I had a full antenna. Currently I have a shorty from my wing riser. Navigating the radio is simple, but also not the best. I have not found how to go to a specific channel. Rather, I have to pick from the ones displayed or try to find them through seeking. Once you find a channel, you have the option to add it to your favorites, giving you 6 shortcuts to those stations. To set the stations you're on to your favorites, simply hold the slot that you want to set it to. Volume control is simple enough, and you're able to change it by the steering wheel controls, the very right bottom up and down options, or quick slide once you have the slider displayed. Now let's talk about the radio settings. There is of course an equalizer. As you can see, you can switch between a few presets or set your own. You can also set the speakers for the best sound in the cabin with the sliders, as well as turn on loudness. The more in-depth settings are the radio zones that allow you to pick your region where you live. The radio has a small Bluetooth antenna located in the back of the unit that screws in during install. For most part it works fine. However, I have experienced signal drop and interruptions. It may be that the antenna is just not strong enough, and I may look into extending it into the center console somehow. The pin from the factory is 4 zeros, but you can change that by pressing the gear and inputting your own. Once you have the phone connected, it will auto-link all of your contacts. You can also dial out from here as well. Now the music syncs up just fine, but like I said, you may experience signal drop from the antenna. The phone system works well enough. Here, let's go ahead and call Max, the unpaid intern.
Hello?
Hey Max, how can you hear me?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Nice and clear? Yeah. Or is what are you hearing?
I don't know, man. Good, I guess.
Alright.
Alright.
The radio comes with Google Navigation, but for this it doesn't work because Google Navigation can't pick up the satellites and needs a Wi-Fi signal. To utilize the GPS antenna that came with the radio, I've installed an app called NavFree. I've used this a few times and it works great. You can find this one and more in the App Store. Simply install and choose to change the nav settings on the radio to NavFree. One benefit of this app is that you can actually install certain areas or states or countries, which saves space on a limited memory device like this. Let's go ahead and take a drive and test this out. Head down to our favorite Chinese buffet.
The street address for Crystal Buffet Hibachi and Grill is 3160 West New Haven Avenue, West Melbourne.
Here you say be putting in the address. You can't use any actual like business names. You can only use street addresses. I went ahead and deviated from the plan, which was the fastest route, to try to test it out, and it seems to only want to stay on the fastest route and not find alternatives, which this could obviously be bad if you're avoiding a wreck or something. Included in this kit were 2 USB cables with female ends to run wherever you want. I chose to run them down to the passenger footwell and have the ability to hide them in the glove box. With this you can plug in any USB jump drives loaded with music and video. Video playback is not the best off of the jump drive with movies. It may help with lag issues if you get a really high transfer rate jump drive though. Video also has a PIP or picture-in-picture option that allows you to browse while the small video screen is open. You are also able to move the screen around where you would like. To go from PIP back to the main screen, all you have to do is double tap on the small PIP box. In addition to PIP, you're also able to half the screen and see the vehicle RPM and mile per hour gauges. I'm unsure as to why though, due to the video function having a lockout where you need to set the e-brake to be able to play video. You also have the ability to transfer files to the main unit from jump drives. To do this, go to your top menu and scroll over to the Files folder. From here you can choose the jump drive and select the file you want. On the bottom there are options to copy, cut, and paste. Once you select the copy or cut, you can then go back to the file from movies or music and paste into there. I suggest this with only smaller files as the onboard memory is limited. The audio is much the same. Under the Music tab on top, you can plug in a music-only jump drive and have everything play from there. I've had no playback issues and it's simple and straightforward to use. Browse also allows you to go through and select songs independently on the jump drive, or you can hit next on the already playing screen. Phone Link basically connects and mirrors your phone. I had to download an app that always seems to crash when I start my phone. And you also have to open up the developer mods and change features. Now the only thing that this actually gives you is a small mirrored version of your phone on the radio unit itself, which isn't really worth it. Cam is kind of confusing. It looks like it could be a front and rear dash cam, but there's also the option for the DVR. This feature seems to be a dash cam as well, but I'm not really sure as I don't have any cameras set up at this time. The Explorer tab is basically a web browser, very much like Google Chrome. You will of course need Wi-Fi to access it. The factory homepage was actually set to, I think it's the Japanese Google, so let's go ahead and swap that. To change the home setting, all you have to do is go to your top right settings, then to General tab, and then Set Homepage. The My Console option doesn't seem to do anything for me. It looks like it might be a quick launch for steering wheel controls though. File Manager gives you access to the inner workings of the things like you can transfer for the files from the jump drives over, which we've already covered. There are a few other things like changing font colors or background colors, but I haven't seen it actually work. And there may be a way to change the background photos from here, but I'm not sure as of yet. We seriously need to talk about the expansion packs for this thing. So let's start out with the Auto Smart tailgate, like you find on the C-Max. I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. It's not my thing. So let's go to the next. This next one attaches to your OBD 2 port, but also takes up your Bluetooth. So it might not be that great to keep in, but you can at least read what your car is doing. So now it gets a little goofy. The next one is a solar-powered TPMS system. That's not actually part of the head unit. It looks like it's a separate unit that sits like on top. And then there's also another system that attaches to your wheels and goes into the actual head unit. Next is a set of HDMI TV screens for the back of your headrest. And we also have a 360 panorama feature which ties into the DVR and cam settings on the unit. And then what I find great is that this isn't even all of it. There's more if you contact customer service. I haven't, I don't plan to, but I am kind of curious. There's also the rear backup camera. I purchased a different version that replaces the hatch handle. It makes for a cheap and easy install. I had also originally installed the rear backup tone speaker, but have since taken it out because it is insanely annoying. Now I also recommend the rear backup camera because I have still not been able to find a way to turn that off at all. Now my nav button actually stopped working for both the top and the bottom, and I figured out that if you go to Settings, System, locate the local nav and turn that off, it actually fixes the problem. Let's take a look at the settings menu now. Under General, the dimmer allows you to choose the top brightness for the day. The night setting doesn't seem to do anything. I haven't really seen it change from night to day. Under System, you have access to a plethora of different settings relating to different features, both already installed and expandable options. The SWC allows you to change the steering wheel control settings. Mine were actually set fine, so I never had to change them. Under System Version, you can check the info on your device as well as check for updates, but I still have not seen any updates. There's also a factory reset option. To access the Advanced tab, you'll need the code 8861. I suggest caution in the settings menu. I'm not sure what some of these settings do just yet, as they don't make much sense to me. This seems to be a generalized build and has options for many different vehicles. There may actually be a few good things in this menu that you can change, sort of like the bypass for video lockout while driving, so you don't need to use the emergency brake. Down towards the bottom, though, it's even more strange, where there's dedicated vehicles that are just regular options, and none of them being the focus. If you select the More Settings tab up top, you're taken to the device's main factory settings, where you can look and make changes more in depth to the unit itself. From this menu, you can also look at all of your different options like Wi-Fi, data usage, sound displays, but you can't really change anything on the main programming for the radio through this. You can do snapshots, storage, all the fun stuff. So in closing, I'm really always asked how I like the radio, and overall I really do like it. There's a lot of great features. It is a significant upgrade for the car, and it does get rid of the sync system, which I like, because sync is not the best. If there's any other like updates for it, software wise, it would probably be really good, but I don't think there's any support right now for it. So that could be something someone steps up to do, or the companies start putting stuff out. Like I showed you in the video, there's certain ways to upgrade, but I've never had an upgrade for the system. So I hope this really helped you guys out in either, deciding to buy this unit, or maybe helping you fix it, or something in the stuff we've covered. So with that, I'm Anthony, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.